When you drop Caitlin Clark into Madison Square Garden, surround her with NBA royalty, and hand her a microphone, something special is bound to happen. What nobody expected was just how effortlessly she would take over the moment. This wasn't nerves. This wasn't adjustment. This was control. From the second she stepped onto NBC's set, Clark looked like she had always belonged there. Her NBA on NBC debut wasn't just a guest appearance. It was a statement. While much of the WNBA conversation has been dominated by internal drama, stall negotiations, and public infighting, Clark was busy doing something entirely different, elevating the game. She wasn't defending herself. She wasn't complaining. She wasn't demanding. She was performing, and doing it on the sport's biggest stage. At a time when veteran voices are loudly arguing over money, power, and control, Clark is quietly proving why she represents the future of basketball itself. Not women's basketball. Basketball. Period. Madison Square Garden has a way of exposing people. The lights are brighter. The history weighs heavier. Legends have shrunk under that pressure. But Clark didn't shrink, she expanded. She walked into the building with the calm confidence of someone who understands the moment without being overwhelmed by it. And then NBC decided to have some fun. They set up a playful shooting challenge, a twist on the childhood game everyone knows by different names, and paired Clark with Jamal Crawford. On paper, it looked like a showcase for Crawford, a three-time NBA Sixth Man of the Year, a guard whose handle embarrassed defenders for over a decade, a veteran who's seen every coverage, every arena, every pressure situation imaginable. Crawford stepped onto that set smiling, relaxed, fully expecting to enjoy a lighthearted win on national television. Clark had other plans. She took her first shot with millions watching, knowing exactly what a miss would turn into online. This wasn't a friendly GY. This was live TV, surrounded by legends, broadcast into homes across the country. The margin for error was razor thin. She didn't hesitate. Her first makes came from her signature territory, the kind of distance that makes most players uncomfortable. Logo range. The same shots that rewrote college basketball record books. The same shots that turned Iowa games into must-watch television. Her mechanics never wavered. Feet set. Release smooth. Rotation perfect. Crawford laughed. Then he adjusted. Then he tried to match her. That's when the difference became obvious. Most NBA players can shoot from deep. Clark lives there. Those shots aren't desperation attempts for her. They're home. While Crawford measured his attempts, Clark stepped into hers with zero doubt. What looked like a trick shot for him looked routine for her. The banter made it even better. Clark wasn't intimidated. She joked. She smiled. She talked back. She carried herself like someone completely comfortable sharing space with NBA royalty. No nerves, no cuernis, just pure presence. By the end, the score barely mattered. The clip was already viral. The message was already clear. Clark didn't just hold her own, she owned the moment. She showed personality, skill, and confidence in a way that transcended leagues. Then came the desk. Clark took her seat alongside Hall of Famers and seasoned analysts for Basketball Night in America. And once again, she didn't blink. The setting was iconic. Madison Square Garden, NBA legends surrounding her, cameras rolling, no script, no safety net. She sounded like a veteran broadcaster from her first sentence. When asked about the atmosphere at MSG, she didn't give cliches. She explained how players feel the building during warm-ups, how the buzz hits differently when you're on the floor, how the crowd energy settles into your chest. That's not fan talk, that's player insight. The panel leaned in. She joked about height differences. She praised Knicks FA. She broke down the psychology of road environments. She moved seamlessly between humor and analysis. It was obvious she wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was simply being herself, and it worked. Then something remarkable happened. Clark started analyzing NBA stars the way NBA analysts do. When the conversation turned to players she studies, she casually mentioned Luka Doncic. Not as a fan, as a student of the game. She broke down how Luka manipulates defenders, how he creates space without elite speed, how he controls angles and absorbs contact rather than avoiding it. She openly admitted areas where she wants to improve, and how Luka's approach could help her evolve. That level of self-awareness is rare at any level, let alone from a 24-year-old still early in her professional career. The room changed. Carmelo Anthony jumped in and agreed with her assessment. He connected the dots between her game and Luka's. The vision, the unpredictability, the ability to punish defenses from anywhere. Reggie Miller nodded along. These weren't polite compliments. This was respect. Clark wasn't inserting herself into NBA conversations. The NBA was pulling her in. Even the game broadcast revolved around her presence. When LeBron launched a deep three, the commentary referenced Clark being in the building. When he missed, the joke was immediate. Caitlin would have made that. The moment was lighthearted, but the subtext was real. She belonged. By the end of the night, it was impossible to deny. Clark didn't just survive her NBC debut. She dominated it. She showed she can entertain, analyze, and connect at the highest level of the sport. Cameras loved her. Fans loved her. Analysts respected her. And while she was doing all of that, something else was happening behind the scenes. As Clark elevated the game on national television, a faction of WNBA veterans was doing the opposite. The same weekend, she was building bridges between leagues. Those players were pushing Negan. What makes Caitlin Clark's moment so jarring for the league isn't just her skill. Plenty of great players have come through the WNBA. What separates her is timing, awareness, and instinct. She understands the ecosystem she's playing in. She knows that basketball in 2026 isn't confined to one league, one audience, or one narrative. It's content, it's conversation, it's culture, and whether people like it or not, she's fluent in all three. That fluency is why her presence on NBA platforms feels natural instead of forced. She doesn't walk onto a set trying to prove she belongs. She assumes she does. That confidence doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from preparation. Clark watches the NBA the way quarterbacks study film. She breaks down spacing, shot creation, tempo control, and defensive manipulation. When she talks hoops, it isn't filtered through gender or comparison. It's just basketball language. That's a problem for a league that has spent years trying to separate itself instead of integrate. For a long time, the WNBA leaned heavily on identity-based marketing. The messaging was clear. Support us because it's the right thing to do. Watch because it's important. Invest because it's progress. While well-intentioned, that approach created a ceiling. Fans don't stay loyal out of obligation. They stay loyal because they're entertained, inspired, and emotionally invested. Clark cracked that ceiling without asking permission. She didn't come in preaching. She didn't come in lecturing. She came in hitting logo threes, talking trash with a smile, and showing up everywhere the game lives. College arenas, pro arenas, NBA broadcasts, social media clips, highlight reels, podcasts, commercials. She didn't demand the spotlight followed her. And that's what makes the backlash so revealing. Instead of embracing the opportunity to grow alongside her, parts of the league chose resistance. Some veterans framed her popularity as undeserved. Others suggested she benefited from media bias, fan demographics, or external forces unrelated to performance. The implication was clear. She didn't earn this. It was given to her. That argument collapses under even minimal scrutiny. You don't sell out arenas because of media favoritism. You don't break viewership records because of marketing alone. You don't force networks to restructure programming because of hype without substance. At some point, production has to justify attention. Clark's does, every night. The NBC appearance only sharpened that contrast. While internal league conversations were spiraling toward confrontation, Clark was positioning herself as a bridge. She wasn't distancing herself from the WNBA, she was elevating it by association. Every time she appeared next to NBA legends, she normalized the idea that women's basketball belongs in the same conversation. That kind of exposure can't be bought. It has to be earned. Yet instead of celebrating that leverage, some voices treated it like a threat. The looming labor dispute exposed a deeper issue, a misunderstanding of leverage itself. Leverage isn't theoretical. It's measurable. It's ratings, ticket sales, merchandise, sponsorship interest, and cultural relevance. When one player moves